Hello, friends. Welcome back to another edition of Kerry's vlog. That's me. Today is Monday, April 26th, 2021. It's been a couple days since I last did my last vlog. I think it was last Thursday. I've been kind of slacking. I got to get back to doing a little more consistency with it, but we'll see. Some days I just don't have or feel like I don't have pretty much or hardly anything to say, so some days I just don't know what to put up here. But today I got a few things to talk about real quick. Last weekend we went to St. George, Utah, playing a basketball tournament that was more or less a showdown or showcase event. We just played 2 games on Saturday. We were a little shorthanded. We only had 6 in the first game, 7 in the second game. We won the first game by about 15 against Utah Elite 14U team. It was a pretty good game overall, and we not much to say other than we won. In the second game, we lost to a team called Flight 15U. We played them, I think we played them last summer when I had my 16U squad, and they had a couple good shooters again, and they had this big kid that was about 6'6" or a little bit taller than that, who was a little bit tough to stop down low once he got the ball. And we don't have anybody taller than Mason and Colton at like 6'2", right? And we're just not real beefy either. Both those guys are pretty thin and slim, so it's tough for them to handle that. But it was more or less we didn't put enough pressure on the guards to prevent the guards from making easy entry passes into him and allowing him to get comfortable down low. So we had to make some adjustments, and we didn't make those adjustments well enough. And we had some lapses defensively on rotations and such that allowed those guys to get some open looks and open threes. And it was a tight game the whole way. It was within 1 point. Previous game, we only gave up 35 total to the other team when we beat them by 15 or 16. And then the second game, we had given up 36 at halftime. It was 36-35. And it was a 1-2 point game the whole way until they got ahead about 3 minutes ago. They got ahead by about 6. After they got a couple stops on our end, and they converted a couple between a 3-pointer and a 3-point play, I think is how they end up getting their lead. And then it was tough sailing from there with a running clock and only 2 minutes, under 2 minutes to clock stops, and we just couldn't pull it off. This weekend, that should be the last time we travel out of town or out of state for basketball for quite some time, hopefully. We're going to be playing again this weekend in the Vegas Elite Invitational, which will be up at Heinrich YMCA. Not sure exactly what days we play yet or how many games we'll get, but that's what we'll be doing. Moving on, I heard back from Thrivecart last Thursday or Friday after my last vlog, and they were kind of apologetic about not being able to get it working and figured out, but it doesn't really help me much. They said now they don't think it's too many programs, but more or less too many coupons. Well, I had like 350 coupons created for all the products in there, and they gave me the list, and I basically eliminated about half of them and told them I'd like to keep the half that I gave them back, and I haven't heard from them yet, and not sure if they were able to do that, and they probably have tried it, and it probably hasn't solved the problem again. What I would do if I were them is I'd probably try to set up a brand new account, and I would try to import all of my data from my current account to the new one and see if that works. And if it does, there's definitely something just buggy within my account, and I'll just have to move on to a different account. Otherwise, if it still doesn't work, then it probably has something more or less to do with something within the data itself. My other thought, being a former programmer, is that some of my coupon titles and or program or product titles are kind of long, and I know they have a character limit, and they don't let you go past that character limit, which shouldn't be an issue, but perhaps that is an issue somehow. And so maybe what they need to do is actually go in there and shorten down some of the names of the programs and see if that fixes it as well, especially without any outliers out there. So that's what I would try to do. Then on top of that, lately I decided to revamp my sales funnel for social posting. So I changed it. It had like 7 upsells. It was kind of ridiculous. It had an upsell, downsell, an upsell, and then a couple more upsells. And they're good value and they were good price points and everything else. But I added a new product called Social Posting Service for images, for social posting images, that basically sells your social posting service or helps you sell it. And so I wanted to add that product in there, number one. Number two, I wanted to have less upsells, just because you shouldn't have that many probably anyway. And number three, I wanted to value stack those upsells so that when you see them, they're just way too good value to hardly pass up on. So I went back and revamped all those, created new emails that go out for those, new automations in Active Campaign for them, create new deadline funnels and deadline funnel for each one of those as well. So right now there's basically it's 3 emails for 3 days. And if you click on any of the links in those emails, it takes you to the deadline funnel sequence where it will send you 6 emails over the course of 24 hours, because that's how long you have in order to make a decision once you've clicked through back to the sales funnel upsells. And so it has a total of 12 days maximum sequence time, but of course it could be as short as 3 days or a little over 3 days if people were to click through on initial emails. That's how fast they can go through that sales funnel. And I've been getting leads from Facebook ads. I've been running and split testing Facebook lead ads versus conversion ads optimized for leads, and I'm getting really good lead costs. I'm getting approximately $1.25 on average across both types of ads, and then I'm split testing those ads based on zero targeting and targeting a different demographic to try some different things out. And I positioned the whole thing as more or less a side hustle, since it pretty much is. I mean, anybody can do it and make a good amount of money and living on from this type of program. You don't have to have been a small business consultant in the past or a digital agency owner in order to benefit from doing social posting for small businesses. It's definitely something you can pick up and learn very quickly within half an hour and be up and operational, and then be using some of the extra software and programs that I provide in order to get clients and start making extra cash, like I said, on the side, if it's a side hustle, so to speak, or if you want to turn into a real business. So in the past, I was targeting all the people who like certain digital marketers like Frank Kern and Russell Brunson and Ryan Dice and Digital Marketer and Social Examiner and some other interests, but those costs per lead were way higher at like $5 to $7 per lead, which isn't horrible, but why pay that if you don't have to, especially when at the end of the day, what I am promoting and selling in my program is something that's applicable to just about anyone that just would like to make some extra side income. So that's what I'm doing. So that's working out well so far. I'm getting really reasonable leads, more reasonable than I ever thought possible. Well, not possible, but I've seen even cheaper leads for vacation stuff. But also to see that the conversion ads were working and coming through with about the same amount of cost per lead as the lead ads. And lead ads are supposed to be a little bit better for Facebook, or Facebook typically rewards you with a better cost per lead with those leads, because those leads use the pop-up form on Facebook itself and doesn't take the user off of Facebook. Whereas a conversion lead ad takes them directly to your web page or website away from Facebook. And I was trying to see which one would work better to actually get people to not only opt in for the free PDF training guide, but then to purchase the over-the-shoulder training I provide as well in video format for just $7. So I want to see what works best for that. And then the upsells, the 3 upsells come into play after you purchase the front end, or what we call a tripwire or entry point offer. If you're not familiar with those terms, that's what those are usually referred to in order to get somebody into your sales funnel. And then I'm going to use something called Segmetrics to better determine how much each of these leads end up spending with me over a course of time. Because a lot of times what happens is you get into Facebook ads or YouTube ads or whatever, and you look at your ad spend and your immediate return on ad spend from what Facebook reports or whatever, or however many sales you've seen come through or haven't seen come through. And you'll typically give up too soon with advertising. That's what most people do because they don't think they're actually making money, think they're just losing money. But what you need to look at is the full picture, the big picture, and you need to be able to measure that. And the Segmetrics allows you to do that very easily based on tags and time frames and such, so that you can see what leads are actually producing what results for you. And you can then see, how maybe ads that are running today don't produce results for a week or 2 weeks or a month down the road. Because that's the big picture, and the big picture is what really determines whether or not your advertising is effective and making you money overall. So going to implement that. When I get that set up and implemented, I will report back with some of my findings and let you know how it's been working, and let you know how my sales funnel is doing overall with these leads, these random leads that I'm running out there for side hustle, as they say. On another note, my At Games Legends Ultimate Machine, just CoinOps X, which is the guys on Reddit from the fans of Sauce, they call themselves or something, have come up with version 5.0 versus what we just had operational, which was 4.5. And in 5.0, there's 1,896 games compared to 1,653. Like, we really needed another 243 games. But who's complaining, right? So the new build, though, has new graphic art. It has some games determined for 4-player versus 3-player versus 2-player, which is cool. So it's a little bit easier. They're kind of pre-configured better. And that's cool because otherwise you have to go into the advanced config, go into dip switches, and find the right settings and such. So some of it's been figured out or planned out better a little bit. Colt and I played this basketball game called Punk Shot, which I never heard of before, but it's basically like arch rivals NBA Jam with all kinds of crazy hazards and weird stuff. It's kind of just really kind of stupid, but it's kind of fun too because it's just over the top goofy. You can body slam guys and yeah, it's over the top. It isn't really basketball, but it's totally entertaining. And if you have an ALU and you got CoinOps X, I highly recommend you check out Punk Shot if you're into basketball. There's other awesome games on there. I played a game that's called Black Tiger, and it was a Romstar Capcom game from like 1987 or something. And it's like a fantasy game like Rygar or something along those lines, and it's a lot of fun. It was a good game. I'm going to probably continue to play it and check it out and see how far I get with it. And when I find some other hidden gems in there, I'll definitely report back for all those game fanatics that are out there watching and tuning in. Last night we watched the brand new Mortal Kombat movie. Needless to say, it wasn't great. It has an R rating, which is cool because it lets you see some of the kill shots and gruesomeness of some of the kills. Way more graphic than it ever has been, especially from the original Mortal Kombat movie and Annihilation that they put out in the 90s. I don't believe either of those were R-rated, but I might be mistaken. However, if you are planning to watch this with any kids, definitely be aware of that. And of course, they swear constantly. The F-bomb is dropped a lot, especially by a character named Kano, who swore like a sailor with almost every other word being an F-bomb. Not that offends me any, or that I care for my own 15-year-old's sake. Doesn't bother me either way, but I thought I'd put it out there for you in case you're deciding on whether or not to watch Mortal Kombat as a family movie, because it's definitely not a family movie. But just be aware, obviously it does carry the R rating. So you should be aware that it's gonna be a little bit on the gruesome side, and they definitely swear a lot. Again, unfortunately, the plot is just, kind of terrible, but how are you going to make a good plot with a movie like Mortal Kombat when already it's fantasy driven? It's hard to have a decent story or a realistic story. Although I think you could come up with something clever and different. I don't know. Who knows? It gives me, it is what it is. So just wanted to throw that one out there for you. All right, that's all I have for you today. If I think of anything else, I'll be sure to hop back on, or I'll see you hopefully all tomorrow. Thanks so much for tuning in. For the few people that do each and every day, I really do appreciate it. Have a good one. Kerry Knoll signing off. We will see you again soon. Take care.